Hey, my friend, let's cut through the noise for a second. You've been there, haven't you? That gut punch when she walks away, and suddenly you're left wondering if you're enough. Maybe you've spent nights replaying every word, every moment, building her up in your head into some goddess who held the keys to your worth. But here's the raw truth, and I'm not sugarcoating it. You're the prize, not her, not the fantasy you've spun in your mind. The Stoic philosophers tell us something brutal yet liberating. Your value doesn't hinge on anyone else. Not her approval, not her presence, not even the version of her you've dreamed up. And that, dear viewer, is where we start today. Picture this. You're scrolling through your phone, seeing her posts, her new life, and it stings. You feel like you've lost something irreplaceable, like you weren't good enough to keep her. That's the trap, my friend. That's your mind playing tricks, whispering lies that the Stoics would scoff at. According to Stoic wisdom, what's gone isn't your worth. It's just a thing that happened. The moment she walked away, she didn't take anything from you. You just forgot who you were. And that's the first lesson we're digging into. You're not defined by her choice to leave. You're defined by what you control, your mind, your actions, your virtue. Let's get real for a minute. Modern life doesn't make this easy. You're a guy trying to navigate dating apps, late-night texts, and the pressure to be the perfect man, whatever that even means. Maybe you've been ghosted after a date you thought went well, or you've poured your energy into someone who didn't see your value. It's tempting to chase, to beg for validation, to think, if I just prove myself, she'll come back. But the Stoics? They tell you to stop right there. Marcus Aurelius once said something that hits hard. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. She's an outside event, man. Her opinion? Outside. Her leaving? Outside. Your worth? That's inside, and no one gets to touch it unless you let them. So how do you live this out? How do you stop needing her validation when every fiber of you screams to win her back? It starts with a shift, a Stoic shift. Imagine you're at the gym lifting weights. You don't need the barbell to tell you you're strong. It's the act of lifting that proves it. Relationships are the same. You don't need her to say you're enough. You prove it by how you carry yourself. Stop chasing her approval and start building the man she'll regret losing. Not out of spite, mind you, Stoics don't waste energy on petty revenge, but out of a commitment to your own dignity. Let's break it down. Say you're tempted to text her. Something desperate like, hey, can we talk? Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what's in my control here? The Stoic philosophers would nudge you toward reason. You can't control if she replies or if she cares. But you can control whether you send that message or whether you put the phone down and go for a run instead. That's power, my friend. That's you reclaiming the prize you already are. And the crazy thing? When you stop needing her to see your worth, you start feeling this quiet strength. It's not loud or flashy. It's just there, like a steady heartbeat. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. You're human. You're going to feel that ache, that sting of rejection. I've been there too, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering what I could have done differently. But here's where Stoic wisdom kicks in again. You don't fight the feeling. You accept it. Epictetus, one of the greats, said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Translation: pain's part of the deal, but it doesn't get to rule you. You nod at it, let it sit there, and then you keep moving. Because the prize isn't her. It's you standing tall no matter what she does. Think about the guys you admire, the ones who walk into a room and own it. Not because they're loud, but because they're solid. That's the man she regrets losing. Not the guy who grovels or pines, but the one who knows his value and lives it. Maybe you're not there yet. Hell, most of us aren't all the time. But the Stoics give us a map. Focus on what you can control, your effort, your character, and let the rest fall where it may. She might come back, she might not. Doesn't matter. You're not waiting. Here's a scene for you. You're out with friends, laughing, telling a story about that time you bombed a presentation at work but still walked out with your head high. Someone asks about her and you shrug. Yeah, that happened. I'm good. No bitterness, no drama. Just a man who's remembered who he is. That's stoic as hell, my friend. That's you being the prize. And trust me, when you start living like this, people notice. Not just her. Everyone. So where do you start? Small steps. Next time you catch yourself obsessing over what she thinks, stop. Write it down if you have to. Get it out of your head. Then do something for you. Hit the gym. Read a book. Fix that leaky faucet you've been ignoring. Doesn't have to be grand. Just something that reminds you your life's yours. The Stoics call this practicing virtue, building yourself up through action. And bit by bit, you'll feel that shift. You're not the guy she left behind. You're the man she'll wish she hadn't. All right, my friend, let's dive into the thick of it. You've heard me say it before. She didn't take anything from you when she walked away. You just forgot who you were. That's the Stoic truth we're building on now. But what happens when the real challenges hit? When the late-night silence creeps in, or you see her with someone else, and that voice in your head starts spinning lies. That's when you've got to become untouchable, the kind of man who doesn't need to prove anything. Dear viewer, this isn't some motivational fluff. This is Stoic practice, raw and real, and it's how you take back your power. Imagine this. You're sitting at home, scrolling X, and there it is, her post. She's smiling, maybe with some new guy, and your stomach drops. Instantly, your mind feeds you the lie. You lost something rare, something special, something you'll never find again. It's brutal, isn't it? That sinking feeling. Like you're less of a man because she's gone. But hold up. The Stoic philosophers tell us this is where the battle starts. And it's not with her, it's with you. That lie? It's a trick of your own making, and the Stoics would say it's time to cut through it with reason. Let's break it down. Why does that hurt so bad? Because you've convinced yourself she was the key to your happiness, some irreplaceable prize. But according to Stoic wisdom, that's the illusion you've got to shatter. Seneca, one of the heavy hitters, said it plain. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. You're not hurting because she's gone. You're hurting because you're feeding yourself a story that she defined you. And the Stoic fix? Stop proving anything to her, to yourself, to the world. Become untouchable. How? By owning what you can control and letting the rest burn. Picture a guy, let's call him Jake. Jake's been dumped and he's a mess. He's texting her, checking her stories, losing sleep over what he could have said differently. Sound familiar? Now imagine Jake, same guy 6 months later. He's not texting. He's not stalking. He's at the gym or grabbing beers with the boys, or hell, just sitting on his couch enjoying his own damn company. What changed? He stopped needing her to see his worth. He became untouchable, not because he's cold or bitter, but because he realized his value doesn't ride on her approval. That's the Stoic man you're aiming for, my friend. So how do you get there when the lies are loud? Start with this, catch the thought. Next time your mind says, she was the one, and now I'm nothing, don't just let it run wild. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what's the evidence? The Stoics loved this trick, using reason like a blade. Did she really make you a man? Or were you already enough and she just happened to be there? Chances are you'll see the lie for what it is. A flimsy story, not a fact. And when you spot it, you don't argue with it, you let it pass. Epictetus would grin at that. He'd say, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. You're not untouchable because you're numb, you're untouchable because you don't buy the bullshit your mind's selling. Let's talk real life for a sec. Say you're out at a bar, and some dude's flirting with a woman you'd usually try to impress. Old you might have puffed up, thrown some line, tried to prove you're the alpha. Knew you? You sip your drink, smirk, and let it go. Why? Because you don't need her glance to feel solid. That's stoic as hell, self-control over desperation. And here's the kicker: people feel that energy. It's not loud or needy. It's quiet, steady, magnetic. You're not proving anything, and that's exactly why you stand out. But look, I get it. Some days the lie hits harder. Maybe it's her birthday, and you're tempted to send that, "Hey, hope you're good" text. Your heart's racing, your thumbs hovering over the send button. Stop. Right there, you've got a choice. The Stoic philosophers would nudge you toward virtue, your dignity, your strength. What's in your control? Not her reply, that's for damn sure. But you can control whether you hit send or toss the phone aside and go chop some wood instead. That's not weakness, that's power. That's you becoming the man who doesn't need to grovel. Here's where it gets deep. The lie your mind feeds you: she was everything, and now you're nothing. It's not just about her. It's about every time you've felt rejected, every time you've doubted yourself. The Stoics would say that's your chance to grow. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Her leaving? That's your impediment. Use it. Let it teach you how to stand alone, how to be enough without anyone's applause. That's the untouchable man. Not some untouchable jerk, but a guy who's at peace with himself. Think about it like this. You're hiking a trail and a storm rolls in. Rain's pouring, wind's howling. You can't stop it, but you can keep walking, head high, boots steady. That's Stoic practice in a nutshell. Her walking away was the storm. You don't control the weather, but you control your steps. And every time you choose to keep moving instead of chasing shadows, you're shredding that lie. You're not the guy who lost something rare. You're the rare one, my friend, and you're remembering it. So what's the move? Next time that pang hits, when you see her name, her face, her ghost, don't run from it. Feel it. Nod at it. Then do something real. Fix your car, cook a steak, call a buddy, and talk about anything but her. Small wins, man. The Stoics call it practicing reason through action. Every step pulls you out of the lie and into the truth. You're enough. And when you live that, you don't need to prove a damn thing. That's untouchable. All right, my friend, let's get into the meat of this. You've been through the ringer. Her leaving left a hole, didn't it? That nagging thought creeps in. Asterisk, not every man can be replaced. Some men leave a void so deep no one else can fill it. Asterisk, and yeah, maybe you're tempted to believe that's about her, that she's the one who's irreplaceable. But hold on. The Stoic philosophers would flip that on its head and say, no, dear viewer, that void isn't her absence. It's the space you carved out when you gave her your time, your energy, your emotions, things you didn't just hand out to anyone. That's the real weight here, and it's time to turn that into power. Let's paint a picture. It's a Saturday night, and you're alone. The apartment's quiet, too quiet, and your mind starts racing. You think about her laugh, the way she'd light up over some dumb joke, and suddenly you're wondering if you'll ever feel that again. That's the illusion of loss kicking in, my friend. She left, now what? Your head's spinning, trying to make sense of it, like you've lost some rare treasure. But the Stoics would grab you by the shoulders and say, stop. Look at what you gave. You didn't toss your time and heart around like spare change. You invested them deliberately, deeply. That's not weakness. That's a mark of a man who's rare, who leaves a void not because he's gone, but because he's that solid. So what's the move here? How do you cultivate that Stoic virtue when the ache's still fresh? It starts with owning what you brought to the table. Think about it. You gave her your energy, late nights talking her through her chaos, your emotions laid bare in ways you don't just do with anyone. That's not something every guy can pull off. Most men coast, half-ass it, keep their cards close. Not you. You went all in, and the Stoic philosophers tell us that's where your strength lies. Not in her staying, but in your capacity to give like that. Marcus Aurelius would nod and say, "What's yours is to give what you can, and accept what comes." You gave something real. Her walking away doesn't erase that. Now let's talk about that void. You're sitting there, maybe with a beer in hand, staring at the wall, and it hits you. She's not coming back. The temptation is to fill that space with noise. Swipe on some app, chase a rebound, drown it out. But here's where Stoic wisdom cuts through the bullshit. Don't run from it. Feel it. That emptiness? It's proof you're not some shallow player. You're a man who leaves a mark. And the trick isn't to replace her. It's to reclaim that depth for yourself. Epictetus would put it blunt. You're not distressed by what happens, but by your opinion of it. She's gone. Fine. The void's there. Fine. But it's yours to shape now, not hers to define. Here's a scene for you. You're at work, grinding through a long day, and a coworker mentions his girlfriend bailing on him. He's whining, chasing her with texts, begging for a second chance. You listen, nod, but inside you're different. You've been there, sure, but now you're the guy who doesn't flinch. Why? Because you've stopped waiting for someone to wake up and see your worth. That's the Stoic power kicking in when you realize you gave her something rare, not because she deserved it, but because that's who you are. And no one can take that from you, my friend, not even her. But let's be real, it's not all calm and collected. Some nights you're pissed. You gave her everything, hours you'll never get back, feelings you don't just throw around, and she tossed it like it was nothing. That stings. And the Stoics? They'd say that's okay. Feel the anger, the hurt. Don't pretend it's not there. But don't let it own you either. Seneca had this gem. Anger is a kind of madness. You're not mad at her, not really, you're mad at the story you built, the one where she was supposed to see you. So what do? You tear that story down. You gave her your best, and she couldn't handle it. That's on her, not you. So how do you practice this? How do you turn that void into virtue? Start small, but start real. Next time you catch yourself missing her, maybe it's her perfume you smell on someone else. Don't spiral. Pause. Ask yourself, what did I give her that I can give myself now? That time you spent listening to her. Sit with your own thoughts for once. That energy you poured into her dreams? Throw it into something you've been neglecting, your gym routine, that side project, hell, even just cooking a decent meal. The Stoics call this redirecting your will, taking what's yours and building with it. And bit by bit, that void stops being a wound and starts being a forge. Let's flip it for a second. Think about the guys who don't leave a void, the ones who drift through relationships, never really showing up. You're not that guy. You gave something heavy, something true, and that's why it hurts. But it's also why you're rare. The Stoic philosophers would tell us that's a virtue worth cultivating. Not the giving itself, but the strength to give and then stand tall when it's gone. You didn't just hand out your time and emotions like cheap flyers, you chose to with purpose. That's power, my friend, and it's yours to wield. Here's where it gets practical. Say you're out with friends, and someone asks, "You still hung up on her?" Old you might have dodged it, mumbled something weak. Knew you? You look them in the eye and say, "Nah, I gave her a lot, but I'm good." No groveling, no sob story. Just a man who knows what he's worth. That's the Stoic flex. Not chasing, not caring, not waiting for her to figure it out. And the crazy thing? People feel that. It's not loud or desperate. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. You're not replaceable because you're still here, building something she'll never touch. But look, I won't lie. Some days the illusion of loss hits hard. You'll see a couple laughing at the coffee shop, and your mind'll try to drag you back. That could have been us. That's when you lean on Stoic reason. Was she really the key to that? Or were you the one bringing the warmth, the depth? You gave her something rare, sure, but you're still the source of it. She didn't take that when she left. You've still got it. And the more you live that truth, the less you need her to validate it. So what's the takeaway, my friend? Stop chasing the ghost of what was. You gave her your time, your energy, your emotions, things you don't just toss around. That makes you the rare one, the man who leaves a void not because he's broken, but because he's real. The Stoics would say that's your power, reclaim it. Next time that pang hits, don't run from it. Nod at it, then do something solid, lift some weights, write some thoughts, fix something broken. That's you cultivating virtue, turning the void into strength. She's gone, sure. But you're still here and you're enough. All right, my friend, we've reached the final stretch. The Stoic ultimate wisdom that flips everything you've been wrestling with on its head. You've been through the fire, dear viewer. The breakup, the late-night replays, the sting of rejection. It's all led you here. And now, it's time to see it clear as day. You didn't lose her. She lost you. That's not some cheesy line to puff up your ego. It's Stoic truth, raw and unfiltered. And it's the key to the peace you've been chasing. So let's dig in. How do you stop chasing, stop caring, stop waiting for someone to wake up and see your worth, and finally find that unshakable calm inside? Buckle up, because this is where it all comes together. Let's start with the ghosts that haunt you. You know what I mean? Those memories that hit like a broken record on repeat. Every smile she flashed your way, every touch that sent a spark through you, every "I love you" that felt like a promise. They play over and over, don't they? Amplified in your mind until they're larger than life, now just echoes taunting you from the past. It's torture, my friend, and I've been there, stuck in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why those moments won't let me go. But here's where the Stoic philosophers step in with a hard truth. Those aren't her haunting you. They're your judgments, your attachments, your refusal to let go. And the fix? It's not about forgetting. It's about seeing them for what they are. Picture this. You're driving home after a long day, and that song comes on, the one you two used to blast together. Your chest tightens, your mind spins back to her laughing in the passenger seat, and suddenly you're drowning in it again. Old you might have let it pull you under, texting her some weak "I miss you," or scrolling her profile for scraps. But the Stoics? They'd say, hold up, what's in your control here? Not the song, not the memory, not her. But you can control what you do with it. Epictetus would put it sharp. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. That memory's a ghost only if you keep feeding it power. Nod at it, let it play, and keep driving. That's you starting to let go, not of her, but of the story you've built around her. So what's this "you didn't lose her, she lost you" really mean? It's not about spite or pointing fingers. It's about where your value sits. The Stoic philosophers tell us your worth isn't tied to what others do with it. You gave her something real, your time, your energy, your heart, and she walked away from that. That's not a loss on your ledger. It's hers. Think about it like this. You're a craftsman who poured hours into a blade sharp and strong. She took it, then tossed it aside for something shinier. Does that make the blade less? Hell no. It makes her the one who didn't see its edge. You're the prize, my friend, not because you're perfect, but because you showed up with something rare and she couldn't handle it. But here's the kicker, knowing that doesn't magically erase the ache. You're a guy, not a robot. You feel it deep, and that's okay. The Stoics don't ask you to be stone. They ask you to be steady. So how do you stop chasing when every instinct screams to run after her? How do you stop caring when your heart's still tangled up? How do you stop waiting for her to wake up and see what she lets slip away? It's not a switch you flip, it's a practice you build. And it starts with one brutal, beautiful Stoic move: accepting what you can't control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." She's an outside event, man. Her seeing you? Outside. Her coming back? Outside. Your peace? That's inside, and it's yours to claim. Let's get practical. Say you're tempted to check her ex. See if she's posted anything new. Your thumb's hovering, your pulse is up. Stop. Right there, you've got a choice. The Stoic philosophers would nudge you toward reason. What's this gonna do for you? Best case, she's miserable and you feel a cheap thrill. Worst case, she's thriving and you're gutted. Either way, it's noise, nothing you can control, nothing that changes who you are. So what do? You put the phone down. You grab a coffee, hit the gym, call a buddy, and talk about the game instead. That's not running from the pain. That's refusing to let it own you. That's you stopping the chase one small move at a time. Now, stopping caring? That's trickier, isn't it? You cared about her deeply, and that's not a switch you turn off. But the Stoics would say it's not about not caring at all. It's about caring where it counts. Seneca had this line that cuts deep. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Translation: she's just one part, man. You don't stop feeling. You stop letting that feeling dictate your days. Maybe you're at the park, see a couple holding hands, and it stabs you a little. Feel it, nod at it, then shift your eyes to the trees, the sky, the kid kicking a ball nearby. Life's still moving, and so are you. That's you redirecting your care to yourself, to what's real, not to a ghost. And stopping waiting? That's the big one. You've been holding out, haven't you? Some quiet hope she'll text, "I messed up," and see you for the man you are. Dear viewer, I get it. I've stared at my phone too, willing it to light up. But the Stoic wisdom here is ice cold and freeing. Her waking up isn't your job. You're not a beggar at her gate, waiting for crumbs of validation. You're a man with a life to live. So what's the move? You stop waiting by starting to act. Next time that hope creeps in, don't sit on it. Get up. Fix something: your car, your desk, your damn haircut. The Stoics call this practicing virtue through action. Every step says, "I'm the prize," louder than any words. Here's a scene for you. You're out with the guys, beers in hand, and someone asks, "You still think about her?" Old you might have dodged it, sulked into your drink. Knew you? You smirk, take a sip, and say, "Yeah, sometimes, but I'm good." No desperation, no drama. Just a man who's stopped chasing shadows. And the crazy thing? They feel it. The quiet strength. The peace radiating off you. That's Stoic as hell, my friend. That's you living she lost you. Not because you're gloating, but because you've let go of needing her to see it. But let's be real. Some days the ghosts hit harder. Maybe it's her birthday, and your mind's replaying every damn "I love you" like a cruel highlight reel. That's when you lean on Stoic reason hardest. Ask yourself, did I lose her, or did she lose what I brought? You gave her your best. Laughter, loyalty, late night talks, and she walked. That's not your failure. It's her forfeit. Feel the sting, sure, but don't let it lie to you. You're still here, still solid, still the man who showed up. And the more you see that, the quieter those ghosts get. They don't vanish, they just stop mattering. So how do you lock in this piece? It's not a one and done, it's a rhythm. Next time that memory hits, her smile, her touch, don't fight it. Let it roll through, then do something real. Hit the weights, cook a steak, write "I am the prize" in the comments below and mean it. The Stoics would grin at that: action over wallowing, reason over chaos. And bit by bit, you'll feel it. A calm that doesn't flicker when her name comes up. Not because you're over her, but because you're over needing her to define you. My friend, this is the Stoic endgame. You didn't lose her. She lost you. Stop chasing. Stop caring. Stop waiting. And watch what happens. The memories fade from ghosts to echoes. The ache softens, and you stand taller. Not out of spite, but out of truth. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know below. I am the prize, because you are, dear viewer. And the peace you're after? It's already yours, you just have to live it. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true peace in relationships comes not from clinging to what we cannot control, her choices, her presence, but from mastering what lies within us. Our reason, our self-discipline, our virtue. When the ghosts of her memory stir, tempting you to chase or despair, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what can I command here? Redirect that energy inward, perhaps by journaling your thoughts to sift truth from illusion, and let reason guide you back to your unshakable core. The wisdom of the Stoic masters reminds us that our worth endures beyond any rejection. A timeless strength forged through deliberate practice, proving that the Stoic path offers not just solace, but a rational, enduring way to thrive in love and beyond.